Elsa, thank you so much for joining me today. I understand that you are the director and a futurist of one of the largest accelerators in the world in biotechnology and technology. I know that you do your part-time poetess.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I just want to go into a little bit about the work that your organization is doing around moonshot thinking. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about what is moonshot thinking and why should I even care?
Sure, that's a really good question. And first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really humbled and honored to be part of it. So moonshot thinking has always inspired me because it was actually science fiction that got me in the first place into science and technology. So I think now more than ever, it's beyond important for organizations as well as individuals to really innovate and reconnect with what it is that originally inspired us to embark on the journey that we're currently on. So I think literally when JFK said we as a species should get to the moon and land a rocket on the moon, it just inspired and set off this entire industry. So I think having this big vision and having the drive and the ambition and the dream to really change how we live, how we eat, how we work, how we connect with each other, can kickstart entirely new industries and bring disruptive innovation. If we just think about small incremental innovation, I guess it's maybe more reaching for the stars than really the big moon. So I think to achieve disruptive innovation and exponential change, to bring new technologies to benefit a billion people, it doesn't work without moonshot thinking. And as the largest pre-seed stage accelerator in life sciences and technology, we're really interested in what are the big moonshots in life sciences. So how could we live forever? Could we cure death? Could we categorize every cell in our bodies to build like the Google of our cells? Can we find out how we can cure depression and make everyone happy, cure the loneliness epidemic, and really push our species forward? But there's also the factory part. So we're not just thinkers and philosophers, but we're doers and makers and entrepreneurs. And ultimately, we being a venture capitalist, we're not just collecting nice ideas, but we want to execute them. So that's where the factory part comes in. What we teach our scientists and technologists who become entrepreneurs in our program is that they need to have this big moonshot thinking, their vision, but also the execution part to actually make this innovation happen. So we had one startup who wants to create a literally life-changing and industry-disrupting gene therapy with a biomolecule that drills into membranes to deliver plasmid and genetic instructions that can really bring massive change. But this is like a 5 or maybe even 10-year plan. But young startups or even young innovation departments within big companies, they have to somehow get traction and break down this big moonshot vision into smaller, more workable pieces. So instead of selling a future dream, she got down to work and proved her first milestone, which was actually just using this membrane drilling machine and make a cell labeling reagent. So moonshots are awesome and very much needed, but you also kind of need the implementation and the factory part behind it.
I'm a very busy guy. I get 5,000 emails a day. I run a business. I may be an executive of a business unit in a corporation, but how do what are the frustrations, challenges that I bump into that gets me to say, hold on a second, I need to do something differently. Oh, I need to do moonshot thinking. What causes, what gives birth to my moonshot thinking?
That's a nice one. I guess if you're an executive, what gives birth to the moonshot can be either you see something inspiring. Doesn't have to be science fiction. It can be, connecting the dots, like a solution in one industry that you realize actually applies to another industry. So it's like a convergent kind of innovation. So applying an existing tech to a new industry or a new solution. Or if you are a busy executive, it can be hard to stay in touch with what's going on in the inner core, so this forefront of innovation. So the other trigger of moonshot thinking could just be the fear of being left behind.
What are some case studies, examples you can share with me from your lab on companies that are being really great at accelerating their disruptive technology?
Mm-hmm. Cool, I love that because I'm really proud of our companies. So the whole field of life sciences is being digitized. So usually tech executives from big telecommunication companies or B2B enterprise software, etc. They think digital transformation is only their industry, but actually biology and technology are converging, and it's creating a rapidly growing new field and new industry. So a few examples are, for instance, that we now see that biology and life has become code. So the new engineers of software will be the ones who tweak and tinker with the software of life. So cancer becomes almost a programming challenge if we view it as a cellular malware. And there's a huge wave of tech companies like Apple with their health monitors, Google with companies like Calico and Verily, Amazon, who's now breaking into the pharmaceutical supply chain, who are jumping into health, because we are just about to unlock one of the greatest data tsunamis in history, which is microbionics. So our microbiome, all the bacteria we have and their genetic code, as well as personal genomics. And a few examples are, for instance, we have this personal genomics company called 23andMe. And they were first just sending out kits for people to sequence their own genome, or actually parts of their own genome, and hopefully gain some information. And now, though, they had made a really historical pivot, which is not just a personal genomics company, but they're entering the life mining industry. So it means they're using AI and analytics, perhaps even predictive analytics at some point, to crawl our genomes for unlocking new drugs. And I think that's a really powerful example. We have, even in our own portfolio, we have, so we have a company based in the US on the East Coast. They're called Prospective Research, and they have developed a microbe miner. So they are unlocking the metabolic pathways of the microbes we find in the dirt that we would maybe think they're just useless microbes, but actually with technology and machine learning, they can unlock hidden pathways and trigger antibiotic production. And then they're really impressive. And we have companies that are completely transforming the way we eat. So food is becoming much more personalized, sustainable, but also cellular. So maybe you've heard of lab-grown meats or egg-free egg whites, chicken-free chicken meat, sushi-free sushi, cow-free cow milk. They're all guys in our portfolios, and really transforming the way we eat artificial sugars, actually made of protein, and new biomaterials that are transforming fashion, like synthetic spider silk, which Stella McCartney has just started a collaboration with, so a company called Bold Threads. And there's a new startup called Mango Materials. So they're using methane-eating bacteria somehow to make fabrics for t-shirts. You can grow your own mushroom lamp by ordering it online, and you get a little pot. And mycelium is the material that mushroom roots are made from. It's very versatile, lightweight, but also robust. So you can grow it into sheets of leather to make beautiful, fashionable purses, but also into distinct features and shapes, so you can have a little mushroom lamp. So I think it's fantastic what we're seeing in the industry right now.
If I wanted to be a moonshot thinker and start one of these disruptive technologies, what are some of the biggest challenges I will bump into? Is it money? Is it access to talent? Is it there's so much noise in moonshot thinking and I need to cut through the noise? What would be it from your perspective?
Absolutely. I think it's probably due diligence. So there are so many amazing new ideas around, but we, in our process at the very early stage, we kind of get all these ideas on our desk, and then our job is to figure out which teams of scientists and technologists actually have the capacity to implement it. And sometimes you see really cool ideas, but the person hasn't actually done anything with it. So if we're talking startups for us, then traction and momentum is really the key thing. And it can't just be a great idea, but we really want to see these two parts. So is it a great vision that can really, have significant impact for at least 1 billion people and literally change the world? Because that's what we are passionate working with and working on. But also, are the guys capable to execute and have some traction and show us a proof of concept?
Got it. How do I get traction and execution? Sorry, let me ask you this question differently. What are you personally learning from companies that are demonstrating traction?
So I'm learning that yes, it's possible, and I'm also learning how to turn science fiction into reality. So it's one of the most rewarding things you could imagine. So if you watch Star Trek, and they have like this tricorder device where they can kind of instantly determine. And now, actually, a team of scientists and entrepreneurs have created a device that's called Minion. So it's Oxford Nanopore, and the thing is really tiny, portable, and it lets us sequence microbes not just in the Arctic and literally anywhere in our home on the road, but also in space, in microgravity. So NASA has launched an experiment for a female scientist to sequence a microbe genome in space, so in microgravity, which poses unique challenges, but it actually worked, which is super, super interesting.
Wow. What advice do you have for laggards? People who are like, yeah, Elsa and Taimour and people like that. I'm busy. Oh my God. Do you mean my company is going to get disrupted? Like, one of the trends that I see is every industry is literally being disrupted. If you were a hotel, all of a sudden Airbnb locations are surrounding you. If you're a media company, now all of a sudden Facebook and Google, like have surrounded your traffic. If you were a taxi company, all of a sudden Uber and Lyft are all around. Like every company, every industry I know is literally being disrupted. What advice do you have for anybody who's a lagger?
So, The Economist recently ran a feature called Data is the New Oil. And
Yes.
I couldn't agree more. It doesn't even matter which industry exactly you are, but building infrastructure for this data oil rig is really critical. So we are generating about 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every single day as a species. And the interesting thing, though, is that 90% of all this data has been generated in the past 2 years. And I just think it's astonishing. And now in biology, it's gonna like triple and quadruple. And when all our things, our smart things, our smart homes, our smart city sensor networks, all also start to talk to each other, there's gonna be a whole data ecosystem with these little hubs that interact with each other, and all of us are walking around with, if you have a smartphone, with so much computing power just in our pockets. Then I think one really interesting aspect to consider is human augmentation. So I'm personally super excited about that because I became a cyborg. So I actually have a microchip in my hand. And I became a cyborg live on stage at a festival called Pioneers Festival in Vienna. Yeah. So it's in a beautiful, majestic palace, and inside there's a future tech conference. So it's like this clash of classics with almost science fiction. And I used the chip to tweet just by hand swipe, and also play a genetic orchestra from a synthetic animal genome. I'm not going to bore you with details, but it's just amazing what we can do even with very little computing power. And the human augmentation market alone is going to take about 2.5 billion by 2022. So I think for laggers, to summarize, it's getting this data infrastructure right. And also, I wish that with digital transformation, we're also considering a bit cybernetics, because it's gonna really change how we just pay for our transport. You can even program your chip to do crypto payments, so you can pay by bitcoins. We're gonna live longer and longer, so people are gonna look to ways to company co-founded by Elon Musk called Neuralink. So they're developing brain-computer interfaces. And someone from the Open Brain-Computer Interface group, the founder, was just named one of the Forbes 30 under 30 people. So it's a really cool area. So I think, not just having data scientists and people who can do machine learning and deep learning and predictive analytics and all that, but also having people who understand humanity and empathy, because we need these bots, and we need AI to actually not just absorb information but synthesize meaning, and that's extremely difficult if you don't have this capacity. And then I think also people who understand health and biology and this intersection between tech and biotech, and I guess ultimately the creative thinkers, the crazy ones to bring moonshot ideas, but also who have the drive and entrepreneurial capabilities that at least machines just yet don't have, to really drive this forward.
Very cool, very cool. Machines don't have entrepreneurial capability. That's so true.
Not yet. They can write screenplays though.
Elsa, I want to do a plug-in for you. You've written a book. I want to know, how do I buy that book? What's the name of it? You are writing a new book. I want to know what's the name of that. And then the third thing I want to know is if I want to connect with you, because of people who watch this video want to connect with you, how do I find you?
Cool. Thanks. Yes, in my spare time, I call myself a moonlight-powered poet and science fiction writer, because I only get to do it at night. And I love near future science fiction. My first novelette, so it's kind of like a long short story, is now available for pre-order on Amazon. It's called The Antimatter of Death. So it's about a guy who is transported into an entangled kind of wormhole into a city 10 years in the future, built entirely with biology. But he learns that he carries a mysterious and deadly cellular algorithm, so he has to solve the mystery to stay alive. So you can just find it, The Antimatter of Death, or EA Solaris, which is my writer's name. And I'm gonna have another one in store for you just about Christmas, if things go well, called The Glass City. It's not available on pre-order yet, but you know, I'd appreciate if you keep your eyes open.
Love it. And then how do I get hold of you if somebody is watching this that want to connect with you?
Oh, cool. Sure, you can find me on Twitter. I love social media. I spend way more time there than I should. So you can definitely catch me online at The Biofuturist on Twitter, on Facebook also at, well, without the at, The Biofuturist, or on my website, thebiofuturist.io. You can also just type my name, Elsa Synthetic Biology, into LinkedIn and Google search, or Rebel Bio, the name of my accelerator, or SOS Ventures, our mothership, our VC fund. And yeah, please feel free to get in touch, and I'd be happy to get back to you.
Awesome. Thank you.